Hello everybody, VG Time back again with another deck profile. And this one's a little bit more special than most because it includes two things. One, a card I always wanted to play with. And two, it was submitted to me originally by one of the members of my stream family. So if you haven't seen me stream, I am here on Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I play the decks that I profile in the Stage Zero weekly tournaments. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago in one of those weekly tournaments that I wanted to run the Vegeta Baby leader. Problem was I was kind of at a crossroads because I didn't have a lot of the engine for Vegeta Baby. So I was going to try to do some other mid-rangey stuff with it. And a member of the chat who didn't want me to put his name out there submitted me a deck list and said, hey, try this out. So I looked at it, instantly fell in love, and I made my own adjustments to it so that it works out for me. I will show you the original list at the end of this, so you can compare the original to what I'm doing now. There's pluses to his list, there's pluses to my list, and you can choose whichever one you want to do or match the two up if you felt like it. So, after a short intro, we'll be right back. So, Vegeta Baby. This leader right here is one of the promo leaders from Draft Box back in the day. It has the ability to swing on a leader and draw a card. But the main thing was that it's self-awakening. It was typed very well, which is that it's a baby of Vegeta, it's a Saiyan and Machine Mutant. It covered a lot of bases. For our purposes, we care about the self-awakening, the fact that it is a red Saiyan, and the fact that when it awakens, it untaps too. So its activate main is you can add a life to your hand to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards to give it minus 5,000. That's a really cool effect to kill off little silver bullets or floodgate dudes. And untap 2, of course, is untap 2. Backside, he's Saiyan Power Vegeta Baby. This time he can attack anything and draw a card. And then it has the activate main once per turn where you can choose one of your battle cards, give it minus 15,000. And then you get to choose up to two of your opponent's battle cards to give them both minus 10,000. That's actually useful in this deck for a couple of reasons. And is somewhat of a win condition. So the main reason why I fell in love with the deck is that it takes advantage of this card right here. SS3 Gohan Master Surpass. Now this card was a Champ Pack promo, and as soon as I saw it, I said, hey, this card is powerful. I want to play it. Problem is it costs 4. And costing 4 in this game is kind of, unless it wins you the game like right outright, or you are a deck that untaps a lot of energy or has like really great defensive ability. In this case, red in general doesn't really do well with any of those things. Most of the leaders it works with just doesn't cut the mustard. But basically his ability is Alliance Red-Green. He deals 1 damage to your opponent, and they can't play battle cards with 20k power or less until the end of their next turn. Now, I mentioned cost 4, kind of expensive. So the way that this person made it cheaper was by using this right here. Grand Evil Absorption Majin Buu. Now, I already knew this card existed, but there was one thing I did not know. So let's go over what it does. It has dual attack and evolve for 3 and triple red over a Son Gohan Adolescent. It has an activate main once per turn where you could choose a Son Gohan Adolescent underneath him to give him that card's effects, and then it could attack battle cards in active mode. So one thing I did not know was that this card's type is Son Gohan Adolescent, just because of the way he looks. Usually the Son Gohan Adolescents are like the Great Saiyaman age Gohans, but they gave it to this one. So I know you're thinking, cost 7, 6 to evolve. How is that any cheaper than this? Well, he has a whole engine behind him. So we have this guy right here, which is Awakening Evil Majin Buu. He evolves for double red on top of a red Majin Buu, and you could Union Absorb any battle card to go into this. But you typically want to go with a Gohan. Now, his Union Absorb is not once per turn, so it allows you a little bit of play around certain counterplays. So let's say your opponent allowed you to evolve this because they had no idea what this did, and then you say Union Absorb and they say God Sealing. You could choose not to find, like you choose 0, and then use another Gohan to go into this. It also doesn't have to be this Majin Buu. There was a whole bunch of ideas I was going through my head using the blue 7-drop one. That's 25k in triple strike. It's just a really good engine overall, as long as you can protect it. And the way that we get him out for 2 is by using Hercule and Majin Buu Friends Forever. So Hercule and Majin Buu rivals for a single blue. Rival Red Blue rivals for a single blue. -10 one of your opponent's battle cards and draws you a card. And you're allowed to bounce one of your red or blue battle cards back to your hand at the end of the turn. So you rival this guy, you evolve in this guy on top of it, you Union Absorb, go into this guy. And then that can be done as early as turn 2, but usually we do it on about turn 3. Now you're at a situation where you have a dual attack guy who has Alliance and that effect. And as long as you have 2 dorks out on the table, you could swing Alliance one of them, restand, swing Alliance the other one, and put 2 instances of the Crit of Life to play a guy on your opponent. You also are in a situation where his effect doesn't care what life your opponent is at. He could just straight burn him. So he could probably just win on that turn if they're at 4 or less life. Beerus, Cooler, and Frieza are meant to give us the red and blue as well as the untapping ability in order to make this guy as early as possible. So if you have him in hand, you want to charge a red-blue right away, especially if you have the super combo, and you have the ability to go into it on turn 2. If you have a red-blue charge, the super combo, the Hercule Buu, the Awakening Evo, and the Gohan. Now, I understand how that sounds. That is definitely magical Christmas land. There are games where you do that and you are feeling like the most powerful person in the world. And there's games that you don't see with the original list anyway, where you just don't see any of this stuff. Like you drawing, you're doing your thing, and you're just like, oh, well, I guess we got to win another way. And the other way is to play out coolers, do 20k beat down, all that good stuff. And maybe you could stretch the game out to get to turn 5 to play this guy, absorb, and go into him and just close out the game that way. I went a little bit of a different route, and we'll get into the differences in a minute. So SS3 Goku One Hit Wonder. This is another card that's shared between both lists. This right here is a free play guy if we minus an opponent's card. It doesn't even have to be a battle card, it just has to be a card. So the leader would trigger it. The Buu would trigger it. If you had to play a cooler, the cooler would trigger it. And you just have a guy on the table that you could use for Alliance. He's also a 15 hitter, so it's not the worst thing in the world. And when it's in the drop area, you can pay red, send it to the warp as an activate battle to -5 one of your opponent's battle cards. Of course, to help us get to the backside as quickly as possible, we play Intensifying Power Trunks. This is also a great card to just have on the table to alliance with. A lot of times it's like, man, I just need one more battle card. You got a 1-drop right here. This is how we typically attack in the early turns. Because if you've seen last stream, you will know I'm not a big fan of the leaders that require you to swing on leader to draw a card. So I would rather just swing with something to hit them for crit and take an additional life as my draw for the turn, so to speak. But, you know, either way. So, good card overall. And then the sameness ends with this last card because we're already playing red-blue. We play Senzu Bean. Kind of goes without saying. So the next set of cards I have in this deck is my changes / choices because I just feel that they're necessary to make the deck smooth. The key card, Hercule Majin Buu's assistant. So one of the things I hated was that you could look at your first 6 mulligan, get your next 6, and have a situation where you have one or the other and never see the other one for the rest of the game. You were just mad. Hercule Buu's assistant top 7 searches for one of these 3 cards. So that gives you the opportunity to see one of these 2 because, again, it's top 7. Hopefully you will see it within the top 7 cards. And it's that one extra layer of consistency, even if it slows down the potential power of the deck by a turn, is, to me, worth it. Next up, I'm playing Miraculous Comeback Ultimate Gohan. This was the OG card that you copied with this, because this guy right here has the effect that if it KOs a battle card, it is able to burn your opponent for 2. And this guy can attack cards in active mode. So if they left a couple of dorks out on the table, let's say you're playing against like a Bulma or something like that, you could copy this guy with him and then go after the 5Ks. That will put insane amount of hand pressure on your opponent because a lot of times they wouldn't want to combo 30-5 or 30-4. And that's not even including any cards you might want to combo from your hand. Combo Attack Cooler is another card that I added to the deck because it works well with the backup win condition of Cooler Frieza Beatdown. It also is a comboable blue card because one of the things I used to really hate was that I had, you know, excess Gokus, excess Trunks, this guy in my hand. I didn't want to have to use an additional energy and didn't have a blue card in the entire deck to be able to combo it. So this guy right here, that's his main purpose, and his backup purpose is that he works well with Cooler and Frieza and shenanigans involving that. Another addition I felt was really, really good, and I still do. That's his fourth son Goku, A Heartfelt Plea. You're playing Big Boy. So if you're doing it on turn 3, like this deck is trying to do it, you are able to do your swings and everything without having to awaken. Then you can awaken, sack them off for the Heartfelt Plea. Put your opponent in a position where they really don't want to take that 1 damage. So they're going to give you the 2. And then swing with this with the 2 energy up. Use your 110Ks plus beans and everything to pump them up. And then win the game that way as well. So he acts sort of like a pseudo secret rare in this deck. Because as you've seen, I have not showed you a secret rare yet. Because we're not playing any. Lastly, Beer's Ball. Beer's Ball is necessary to protect us against Charismatic Villain. Can't do anything about God Stealing. You just got to hope that you get your combo down before they get their unison down. Again, as I mentioned with the Cell Chain video, a lot of the blue decks are playing 3-cost and 4-cost unisons. So if they're doing that, you have this nice window in the first 2 to 3 turns, depending on if you go first or not, to get down your dumb combinations. And we're preying upon that. After that, the only one you have to worry about is Charismatic, and this will help you to be able to combat Charismatic because it counterplays a battle card with 15k power or less. Charismatic is 10. So when you go into the card, if they go Charismatic, you take a life, you play Bear's Ball. They never get to pop your combo. They can't play another Charismatic, and then you just win the game. So this is the deck list. It is a fairly budget deck. It's very fun, very powerful. And then this is the original deck. As you can see, it has a little bit more top end power with the 7-costed Majin Buu being able to evolve on top of the 5 as well as the 7. And instead of the Ultimate Gohan, you see that they went for the Burst Attack Gohan just in case their hand gets low. You get to draw up cards and stuff like that. If I were to bring this deck to a tournament, I would actually have Burst Attack on the side for more hand control-y green matchups. So that is that. Look at them both side by side. Choose what you like from each one of them. And I'll catch you next time. And remember, Wednesday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time for stream. Probably going to end up playing this. And I'll catch you again. VG Times.